I'll face the audience briefly. My name is Robbie Davis, and I am the moderator. I'm with the League of Women Voters of Pasadena area, and I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the candidates and you for your participation. The League of Women Voters of Pasadena area actually includes Duarte as one of the 13 San Gabriel Valley cities that we serve. And the League's charter, in case you don't know about us, is to promote informed and involved participation in the democratic process through education and advocacy. We do study and we act on public policy issues, but we never endorse or support candidates or parties. And we do these forums as part of our voter service program. And by the way, if you are interested in joining the League, we have membership brochures in the back table. And also, we have a website. This is the state website. It's called Voters Edge, and you can actually put in your address, and you can get your ballot and get information on the candidates and things like that. So those are both on the back table. So on the November 6th election, there are 5 candidates competing for 2 4-year seats on the Board of Education, and those are the seats there on the left side of the podium. And there are 2 candidates competing for 1 2-year unexpired term, and that's the 2 candidates on the right. Before we begin, I would like to introduce the rest of the League team. In addition to myself, we have Holly Runberg, who will be serving as our timekeeper. She has the dreaded red paddle. And we also have Connie Aguilar and Sandra Hauge, who is our question sorter. And so you can watch for runners coming around the room. They will have 3x5 cards and pencils, so if you do have a question, write one down, hand it to the runner, and they will bring it up to the question sorters. Questions are just sorted so that we can combine questions that are duplicates, and also maybe to edit them for clarity. If you feel that your question's been misinterpreted, we urge you to submit another one. Due to time limitations, we might not get around to asking all of the questions. And please feel free after the forum is over to stick around and talk to the candidates with any additional questions you might have. We do have some rules as far as the questions. They have to be, we only take written questions, and they have to be in the form of a question and not a statement. They may be directed at one candidate or all of them, but we generally try to let all of the candidates answer. And the questions must deal with the issues of the election, so no personal references or personal attacks will be allowed. And the questions do remain the property of the League, and we destroy them after the event. So now we'll talk about the rules of the forum that have been agreed to by the candidates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement about themselves and their candidacy, and they'll be speaking in an order based on numbers that they drew prior to the forum. And the timekeeper will keep the candidates informed of the time remaining, and will raise a red card when his or her time has elapsed. And once the time is up, they should try and finish their statement as quickly as possible. After the opening statements are completed, they will start answering written questions, and each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each written question, and there will be no rebuttals. And at about 8:10, or if we run out of questions earlier, the question period will be terminated and the closing statements will begin, and each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement, and those will be given in reverse order of the opening statement. And then remarks will be concluded that time. So we ask just to say that the League does not allow any campaign activity within the room, no distribution of flyers or display of campaign clothing, things like that. And there is a table that has candidate information that's going to be available afterwards. And also we request that either you turn off your phone or put it on vibrate, so in respect for the candidates and for the other people here. So if there are no questions, we will begin the opening statements. And the first person to give an opening statement will be Mr. Bell.
Good evening. Thank you, ladies, for having this forum. I think it's excellent for our community. I'll begin. I am an experienced, success-oriented school board member. I'm an adjunct college instructor at Golden West College. I've taught 13 years at LA City and at Centinela Valley Schools. I'm a retired law enforcement professional. I'm a national consultant in training in street gang subculture. I'm a parent of 5 Duarte graduates and a grandfather of the California School of the Arts San Gabriel Valley student now. I've helped to create and maintain a superior learning environment for all Duarte children, including my own. I believe in a positive change and have been a leader and responsible for some of the district's most impactful change for more than 20 years during my tenure in the school district. And I've become known by many families to now be called Duarte a school of district of destiny. We offer exceptional educational opportunities with facilities and staff of arts and technology. We have unique programs founded with partnerships with the City of Hope, Citrus College, and CS Arts. In the last 3 years, I have led a team that delivered the Competitive Advantage Plan called the CAP. The CAP is a roadmap to keep us focused on the high priority issues and target the actions that position all students, including those with special needs or non-traditional education aspirations, for success. Our elementary academies in all of our schools and our 3 6-year accredited high schools are positioned to curb the past trend of declining enrollment. Duarte Unified School District is at a critical period in this district, and I've been a champion of the major advances of our school district and achievements. I have used my 36-year law enforcement career of training in public safety as a public safety commissioner and on the safety commission in Duarte. By leveraging this experience, I've made DUSD safer and much more secure, and I need your vote.
Thank you. Next will be Ms. Perez.
Hi, thank you for...
Microphone?
Yeah. Hi, I'm very humbled to be here today. My name is Miriam Perez. I'm a special education teacher. I'm a parent. And as a parent, nobody knows better than parents what their child needs. And no one works harder than teachers to prepare our students to meet the challenges of tomorrow. Yes, there are improvements that must be made, but we cannot improve our schools if parents and teachers don't have a seat at the table and a voice when decisions are made. Their voices must be heard. They know better than others what must be done in the classroom to best help their students. As your school board member, I will build a team to make partnership, not politics, the priority. I will bring people together by establishing trust and good collaboration among teachers, classified staff, unions, and the district office in order to construct a good working relationship that will help build and maintain district morale and boost student learning. As a parent of a child now in the 4th grade in Duarte Unified School District, I know our schools need a school board which respects both teachers and parents and works with them in partnership to make decisions about our schools. I know that communication must be clear and actions transparent at all levels. I know that we need cooperation, not conflict, to meet the challenges ahead. As a member of DUSD School Board, I am dedicated to making these changes and confident that challenges will be met.
Thank you. We've had a request that maybe somehow we can squish down the name tags so that people can see your faces. I guess or maybe hang them over the edge.
Hang them over the edge.
Hang them over the edge.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cece, here's one, hang them over the edge so they can still see your hand. Just
All the way down. Down. Yeah, use the bottle and I got a case.
Now nobody can take a drink of water.
You see, right now the videographer is the most important person.
Okay. The next person to give opening statement will be Ms. Diaz.
Thank you, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to be able to speak to our community. First of all, I want to express how grateful I am to have this opportunity to speak to all of you, our Duarte residents. I have been a board member for 21 years. Serving our school district has been one of the most rewarding responsibilities of my life. We all know that part of this job as a board member is to read agendas, approve agenda items, and to make executive decisions. But it is so much more. We know that every student is entitled to excellent education. One way of achieving this is to continually seek better ways to meet the needs of all students' populations. This is why I became a board member and why I have chosen to seek re-election. By all student populations, I mean English language learners, special needs students, homeless students, students needing intervention services, gifted students, and students in at-risk situations. This is my job, to better meet the needs of all these students. With my help, this current school board has made dramatic changes in our district. I am so proud to say that I am a Duarte board member. There are so many great things occurring in our district, so many choices. You have heard the phrase that we become a destination of district. We have done that with families coming not only to our charter school, but also to our KA academies and our multi-specialty programs offered at Duarte High School and MIT, Mount Olive Innovation and Technology High School. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Schultz.
Thank you. I'm humbled and honored to be running in this race next to these candidates. It is one of the most meaningful journeys of my life. I am from a small town similar to Duarte and am the first person in my family to go to college. Because of the great support I had at home and at school, I have a master's degree in biology. I'm a successful healthcare leader, project manager, and Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, which is an efficiency-driven methodology for improving quality services while decreasing costs. And I also teach at University of California. Nonprofit healthcare is similar to public education in that it has limited funding, and the leaders act as advocates for those who cannot advocate for themselves and support the ones who can. Having me on the school board will add a skill set that currently does not exist and will give a new perspective. Whether our children are artists and want to attend CSRs, or want to go to college or be a chef or carpenter or welder by way of Duarte High School, or even if they have taken a non-traditional path and are now succeeding at MIT, we need to make sure they and the teachers have the resources they need to succeed. In the last year, we have seen improvement in some programs. So now we need to work to make sure those programs are sustainable and allow for longevity for our students and community. We also need to focus on other programs that need development, such as the programs at the high school and MIT, and programs for our English language learners and special education. The new decision support analytics tool, Thought Exchange, will only be useful if the leaders in the district understand what it is, then work to make the data actionable and create measurable plans to track outcomes. I have that skill set and look forward to the opportunities to support the district in all of the ways that I am able. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. Ms. Carroll.
Good evening. My name is Cecilia Escarcega Carroll, but my friends know me as Cece, and my two children that attend Duarte High School and CSRs knows me as Mom. I am running for the 2-year seat on the Duarte School Board, and here's why I am the best qualified candidate to represent your point of view. Number 1, experienced parent and volunteer. As a 16-year resident of this city, I have been a volunteer for our schools ever since my children started going to schools 13 years ago. I have served as a PTA officer and volunteer for years, and I've gotten to know many of you. I've also am a board member of the Duarte Education Foundation and have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for programs like Music Matters, mentoring, reading program, and college scholarships for Duarte High School students. I have a great love for the love of the arts, and due to my background in show business, I have directed all school talent shows for many years. Number 2, I'm invested in the community. I haven't just shown up here asking for your vote. I have earned your vote. I'm a member of the Duarte Rotary Club and the Community Education Council, and serve on the board of the California School of the Arts. Anyone that thinks that the CS isn't the best thing to happen to our school district hasn't been watching our declining enrollment in our schools for the past decade. We now have people moving to our community, shopping in our community, and buying houses in our community, all due to the unique DUSD and CSR partnerships in Duarte. This partnership benefits all our students, whether they attend the school or not. We are a destination school district now. Number 3, my husband and I are successful small business owners in our community. I know about income statements and balance sheets, and I recognize that we need to continue and create exceptional educational value to continue to attract and maintain all students. Our teachers are some of the best anywhere in the San Gabriel Valley, and we need to recognize this and
Thank
compensate
you.
them for their excellence. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here.
And finally, Ms. Murray.
Hi, good evening, Duarte neighbors and friends. Thank you to the Duarte Chamber for hosting this forum. Of course, my name is Irene Murray, and I've been a resident of Duarte for almost 20 years. I came to Duarte because my brother and my mother lived here. My brother had a home on Huntington Drive, and my mother had a home on Cinnamon Lane. I'm the proud parent of a highly involved child who attended Northview and Duarte High Schools. Originally, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. While in high school, I was able to tutor students in elementary school. This ignited my flame and passion to be involved in education. I'm an educator with over 30 years of experience as a teacher, principal in K-12, charter schools, GATE education, special education, and a university professor. I've served as a PTSA parent and at Northview and DHS. I'm also a member of the Duarte Chamber of Commerce. I received my bachelor's degree in Youngstown State University in Business Administration, so I have a lot of knowledge about accounting and fiscal responsibility. I received my master's in education at Cal State, LA, and my doctorate in education from Pepperdine University, where I studied a lot of education law courses. As you can see, my life has revolved around my profound love for education. More importantly, my life revolves around seeing the children of Duarte receive a quality education and achieve their dreams. Since my appointment to the Duarte School Board in September 2017, I've set forth and achieved my goals to help to build a 21st century schools, to produce 21st century students, finding solutions for all learners, and to work with the school district to find solutions to problems. Going into my next term, my views will remain the same, but also to help to work with the superintendent to help guide our schools to a better future. During my time on the school board, I've been awarded the 2018 School Board Member of the Year Award. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now start with the questions from the audience. And the first one, if you could only choose one focus area for your term, what would it be? And we'll start with, excuse me, Mr. Bell.
It will certainly be looking at the cap plan and see where the direction is going to continue to go. And again, as we make sure that we get our staff and our students and our whole administration going in the same direction, absolutely make sure that we don't leave the path that has led us to where we are and on the brim of real success and eliminated the declining enrollment. It is the path that we should stay on until we really pass the gap of declining enrollment.
Thank you. And just to remind the candidates, these are just 1 minute answers. So the next, Ms. Perez, what would be your focus?
I'm getting used to this thing. I will focus on putting students first and increasing collaboration and working together as a team to support our current superintendent so that we can help him carry out his vision and his plan for our district.
Thank you. Ms. Perez?
Ms. Diaz.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
It is hard to just focus in one, to choose just one, but I would say kids first and transparency. And I will say that education is as a whole, and I will always focus for kids to receive the best education. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz?
My focus would be fund development. I think it's an important position to have in any successful business, whether it be nonprofit, public, or private. I think if we have all of the money that we need, then we don't have to choose between programs, and we don't have to worry about deciding one program over another. I think that fund development is the most important thing we can look at because it solves all of the problems that we discuss here, including enrollment and bringing new programs into the district and revenue into the district and getting out into the community and making sure the community is winning as well. So fund development would be my number one priority.
Thank you. Ms. Carroll?
Now that my daughter has been through almost the enterprise for years, I really think that the high school needs to be a focus right now. There are wonderful programs there, and we can grow those programs to be even more successful than they are. But right now, I think it needs a little bit of loving care. It also needs a little bit more on the guidance with the children there, with the colleges, and putting them through, a course where they understand the SATs and the ACTs, and learning to adapt and make sure that they take those tests, and make sure it's important too. And to make sure that they focus on the colleges and have a little bit more guidance on that path, because I noticed that's kind of where I'd lacked this year with some of the kids. And so for me, it would be definitely the high school. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Murray?
I would have to say a focus area for me would be transparency. Since I've been on the board, I've looked at a lot of different things, especially with fiscal transparency, transparency with relationships with other agencies. So with fiscal responsibility, we have really overspent a lot at Duarte Unified School District. Since I've been in education a long time, I've looked at a lot of budget sheets, and the way this school district has been spending money, especially in the past couple of years, it's really been an eye-opener. So I want to look at fiscal responsibility and get us back on track. We were almost in receivership. Okay, we did have 5% reserves. Now we're down to 3% reserves. So I really want to look at transparency, fiscal responsibility, relationships with other agencies, such as both of our charter schools. With them being independent, actually both of them being independent, looking at more relationships with them, looking at more transparency with them, having them become a part of the Duarte Unified community.
Thank you. Okay, next question is, as a school board member, if elected, what are your plans to stop declining enrollment and exodus from Duarte High School? And we'll start with Ms. Perez.
Currently, I think we are working together with the charter school, and I know that has brought in increased enrollment over 100 students. So I think that building strong relationships with them and going that pathway would benefit us. If we're up by 100 students now, I think that working together and collaborating with them will be beneficial for the district.
Thank you. Ms. Diaz.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to, I believe that we need to focus on enhancing the art programs in our high school. But I also know that we are on the right pathway, because bringing CSR to our school district has shown that we have increased the enrollment. In comparison with other districts, we know that just this year, almost everyone has lost over 100 students, and we are about +2 right now. So I believe that we need to focus in the high school to make sure we don't lose students and improve also our sport programs, so we don't lose kids to other districts for the need of something that we can provide in here. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz.
I would use the new analytic tool, Thought Exchange, and survey all the members of the community, including parents and even children, to see why they would want to go somewhere else. And then I would look at the data, aggregate it, and then figure out where we can afford to focus and what programs we have in place already and what we could possibly bring in to make them want to stay. I would do this in collaboration with the community and with the school board and with the superintendent so that it was transparent and that it was fiscally responsible. So I would use the new analytic tool that we just purchased. Thank you.
Ms. Carroll?
We know now that we're now in an incline, not a decline. Right now we have about a little over 200 students that are from the outside cities, not including our own. And what I would do, we need to start the dialogue earlier in our schools. Right now, I think we're going to retain the 7th and 8th graders here because of the K through 8 model. Now we have to start the dialogue earlier in our elementary school years by PTA members or just principals talking about all the wonderful things that are going on in our district. It's just the fact that we have so many things that are going on at the high school right now with the early college and through Citrus College. We have the culinary, we have the City of Hope pathway and the welding program. We have to get these parents started early, mentally thinking this is a great district to be in. Thank you.
Thanks. And Ms. Murray?
We lost a lot of students from Duarte High School in the past several years, especially last year. Right now, we're in the 800s, and that's extremely, extremely low for Duarte High School. I think that what needs to happen here, I do agree with the analytic approach. I wish I knew more about the analytic systems that they're using, but I think that right now a more personal approach should be used. I think that we could reach out to community members, knock on doors, ask questions, and give them a personal view of what Duarte High School really offers. I think by meeting the parents and also transportation needs. We got so many students, I saw them walking for years, carrying heavy things, trying to get to Duarte High School. If you offer the Duarte High School students opportunity with more transportation, I think that that would help alleviate the parents' skepticism of sending their kids to school because they know that they would get to school safely. Also, we need to reach out to the community and make sure the community knows that we're actively looking for more students to go to Duarte High School. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Bell?
You know, it's interesting, we talked about the analytics. That was one of the main things we did when we started the CAP plan, was to survey the whole community. It was on a computer. We did that was the CAP plan's beginning, was to look and see what was wrong with our community. What did the people say? What did the teachers say? What did the parents say? And that was what initiated us to even make the move that we made as far as initiating the CAP plan and why we are where we are today and making improvements, because we found out people leave when they don't have what they want, and we found out what they wanted, and we've produced that. And so that's why there's been an increase.
Thank you. There's been several of you have talked about communicating with the people in the district. And so I guess the question would be, how do you personally plan to communicate with your constituents? And we'll start with Ms. Diaz.
I always keep asking our constituents, but also the entire community that I come in contact with, as going around and delivering Meals on Wheels. I have talked to many, many people that they ask me what's going on in our school district. And I told them what is going on, and they are very concerned about everything that is going on, but not just to just know, but how can they help us? We have a lot of tutors that are coming to our different schools, so I do believe that it's very important to keep in contact with our communities. Very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz.
I would make myself available with my personal information for them to contact me, and also go to each of the schools and be involved with the teachers and the parents that come in to see the teachers, and make sure that I'm involved in all of the community activities surrounding the parents coming to the community activities, so that I can be available and discuss with them all of the needs that they have. I think that that would be important.
Thank you. Ms. Carroll.
Yes, hi. Having 2 children in the district, for me, would just be a matter of speaking to the parents when I'm at the school sites and making it open where I'm available if they have any concerns or any questions about anything. But I'm already pretty involved in the district, and to me, I love people, and I don't mind being around and speaking to everyone in the community, actually, because I love the community. I love being part of the community and part of the school district.
Ms. Murray?
Actually, I guess you could say I do belong to the Duarte Chamber with my photography business, although I'm not actively involved as much as I need to be. So I am a part of that particular group. I am involved with Alpha Sorority. We do have a lot of members in the actually in the Duarte area, so I talk to them. I reach out to parents, I go to events, I talk to people, I go to a lot of games, and I talk to a lot of parents, and I talk to a lot of students, and I talk to a lot of coaches. And also, that's basically what I do, to reach out and talk to people and make myself very approachable to people so they can come to me at any time. I have my cards on me all the time. I'm always wearing my Duarte Unified School District Board Member badge, and so I'm very approachable, and I love talking to people. Thank you.
Mr. Bell?
Probably one of the easiest things for me as a board member is to make sure I'm in contact with parents, and that means through the athletics. I've been to almost every game that we've had here, basketball, volleyball, football, and I stay and connect with the kids. I've had 3 different programs that I've involved myself with. Every time we've had some community violence, because of my connection with a lot of the young people in the community, I've been able to put a different direction in some of the avenues that the young people had when they were looking at each other a little strange sometimes on campuses. And so being available, I have my email. Again, I have 5 young people, well, not young people, 5 grown folks now that have gone here. A lot of people that know the Bell family, and so it's easy for me to be in touch with a lot of people all the time.
Thank you. And Ms. Perez?
I believe one important thing will be to be approachable and making myself available through different means. Also, I also think it's very important to visit school sites, show face, talk to teachers, see things through their lens, through their perspective, and also that's a good opportunity to also talk to parents. And when you visit school sites, you also see students, and you get to see their perspective and what their needs are as well.
Thank you. The next question has to do with dealing with conflict, and it says, can you promise the voters to serve in a respectful manner to your fellow board members? So how do you deal with conflict? And we'll start with Ms. Schultz.
So I think conflict is just a way that people communicate when they don't agree on something, obviously. And so my goal would be to find out what it is they don't agree on and find out what of those things is negotiable and what of those things is not, and then focus on the things that are negotiable and build from there. At the hospital, I go to the board meetings, I am part of the executive team, and there's plenty of conflict, including conflict with patients. And I can tell you that it's an art to have someone be very angry and talking to you like that, and to be able to be calm, and it's something that I feel is very important because it's just a form of communication. So I would always be respectful, and I would react in a calm manner. Thank you.
Ms. Carroll?
I also work for a doctor, and I deal with a lot of patients and a lot of conflict. I'm a very easygoing person, and usually, there are, people out there that, sometimes they want to get their point across, and you just have to listen to it, and hopefully we can all work cohesively together. I mean, that's the main thing, is trying to work, and even if you don't agree and you disagree, there's a way to combine or collaborate with each other where you can figure out a way to solve the problem without being angry, even leaving angry out of a building or out of a meeting. So for me, I tend to be very much a medium type person. I tend to get along with both sides of the aisles pretty well. So for me, I would never be. I don't like conflict in general, but but to work with patients, it is kind of an art, what Jody said. You have to have an art to kind of listen in and kind of work with maybe dealing with that situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Murray?
As a board member, I've always been respectful at all stages. I've never stormed off stage. I've never said anything mean to anybody. I've offered words of wisdom. I've offered suggestions. I'm a good listener. I've listened all my life to a lot of different things, and I'm a person that you can actually lean on. I'm a worker. I'm a doer. I love being on the school board. I wouldn't have it any other way. So, solve conflict, I listen to the person. If I feel as though that they needed to go someplace and talk it out, we talk it out together. So, thank you.
Mr. Bell?
It's kind of interesting. It's being on the board for 29 years. You know, I've had conflict. I've had conflicts with different board members in different situations. It's unfortunate, but sometimes that's just the way it is. Hopefully, I've always been respectful. But when you have people who direct folks to come to your house and protest and have flashlights, it's something that can get under your skin. But hopefully, again, like I said, I've tried to maintain a good public demeanor, because I think that's what the public respects or they expect out of you. But it's difficult when you have maybe someone who votes no just because they don't want it to go the same way. It's unfortunate, but we've lost 2 superintendents. The last 2 because of conflict on the board. There's no need to talk hiding it. But again, as a board member, my job is to maintain my demeanor as much as I can and to be as fair and even keeled as I can be.
Ms. Perez?
I would practice active listening. As a special education teacher, I have to put this in practice a lot with my staff and also with the parents. And sometimes when people are upset about something, all they need is someone to listen and to hear them out and then help them problem solve what they're complaining or have concerns about. That's what I would put in practice. And as a board member, I think that people on the board come together and should be working together, and they're there for the best interest of students. So we need to put personal agendas and personal stuff aside and focus on what we're here for. And also, I think that when we come and show face to the public, we need to show that we're together, working collaboratively.
Thank you. And Ms. Diaz?
Yes, as a board member, I always remember that we are working for kids and we should be a role model for the kids. And when there is conflict, it's hard to hold yourself in public and not overreact or act against people that are really trying to hurt you in public. But I will say that the community has been good, and God has been good to me and contain myself in public a lot. So I will continue doing the same. I agree with almost everyone up here on the panel, and I just will be doing the same and serve with dignity and try not to offend anyone, especially our staff, our kids, and our school district. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody here has a question that it looks like they're concerned because some of the recent votes, the school board have been like 3-2, it's been split. Do you think that's a problem? Do you think that you should have a unanimous vote all the time, or do you think that maybe having different opinions is okay? And we'll start with Ms. Carroll.
It depends on the, there we go. What a lot of say parents, and it's very obvious sitting as a person on the other side of the aisle right now. I'm sitting there as everyone else is sitting. The way the board is presented right now, it looks like it's dysfunctional, honestly. It's just by just sitting there lately in the board meetings. We did lose a superintendent, a really great superintendent, and through the issues that have been going on the board. So for me, we can disagree, but agree, but and there's been a lot of contentious stuff going on lately at the board meetings. So right now, we're working on trying to make it more cohesive. That's what I think. For anything else, I think this board needs to be a little bit more cohesive and collaborative in the future. Thank you.
Ms. Murray?
I think everybody has a right to their opinion. I think that if you're well-versed, well-knowledged, if you've looked at the material, if you have investigated, if you've done your research and you're prepared, well then, if you come, you have the right to your own opinion. And when I come to the board, I look at it this way. What's good for the school district? How can we save money? How have we been transparent? How can we help teachers? How can we help kids? How can we be accountable to the parents and to the schools? So I think that knowing that that I've done my research and they've done their research, you have to look at what is good for the school, what is good for the teachers, what's actually good for the school district to actually prosper and be at the same level of the other school districts. Thank you.
Mr. Bell?
Again, as a longtime board member, you can imagine that I've been on a few boards where maybe there's some things were a little on the negative side. I tell you, the negative part about it from the beginning is that, number one, if you have a board that's continually contentious, it makes a difference the type of leader you will get when we go out for a superintendent and they look and see what kind of board you have. And if they look at the film and they see that we're always arguing, and it makes it difficult till you get the kind of superintendent that you want. And it's important that, one time there was a question asked to a board member about why the decision was made or why there's contention, and the answer was, it's just politics. It's just politics. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully this election will allow us to maybe put some things in a better stead, because again, we've lost the superintendent behind it, too. And so it's important for a board to do it, because no matter what our little personal ideas might be, we got a community to serve.
Thank you. Ms. Perez?
I believe that our job as board members is to work together and support each other. We have a common goal, that's to serve students and put them first over everything. If we want kids and our district as a whole to be successful, then we need to work together and support our new leader, our new superintendent. That way we can all be successful together. From personal experience, at the district that I currently work at, I know that sometimes I work with the principal, I work with other general ed teachers, and I know that sometimes, and parents, and sometimes we don't agree, but when we put kids first on all sides, then something can be, we can agree on something, and we can work it out, whatever it is, when we put kids first.
Ms. Diaz?
Many times I don't 100% agree with the decisions that we make as board members, but for the health of our school district, I agree. Because I have to put kids first and the entire district first before my own agenda or my personal ideas. So I think it is very unfortunate right now that for a long time we've been having 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, but I hope that we can realize that when we do that, it's not just sending a wrong message, that is no unity in our board member, in our board, but it's also to tell the community that yes, perhaps I will say that when you see people, okay, sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz?
I think this goes back to your question about conflict. So what is the reason that there's disagreement? Why is it always 3-2? I think it's important whether you say yes or if you say no, that you have a reason to do that and be able to validate that reason and discuss it and offer a solution. I think that's the most important thing that we have to do here as a board is we probably are not always going to be in agreement. So always yes is one thing that we want to make sure we're looking at as well, because there are different perspectives. And same thing with no. If it's no, then we need to make sure that we're looking at what is the real problem and how can we bring a solution so we can collaborate, because we're doing this for the kids, for the education environment. I have a first grade daughter, and I would be willing to listen to anyone's explanation about anything to make sure that we come to an agreement and collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone asks if you could change or add 3 things in the school district, what would they be? But since you only have a minute, let's do just 2 things. So if you could change 2 things in the school district, what would they be? And we'll start with Ms. Murray.
If I could change 2 things in the school district, one of the things I would change would be to look at the salaries, making sure that the teachers are paid adequately. Another thing that I would change in the school district is I would look at equity in programs of all the different schools, find out what's actually going on so that all students can receive all the educational materials and resources that they need. Another thing that I would do is I would look at, I would look at what teachers need. What do teachers need in order to make learning happen for the students? For example, when I was a teacher, one of the things that they gave us at the beginning of the school year was a needs assessment. What do teachers need? Let's give them what they need in order to make every child learn, and let's make sure that every student and every teacher is having a successful experience.
Thank you. Mr. Bell.
I would certainly say right off the top, improve our salaries for all of our staff, that's teachers, certificated. It would make a huge difference. And along with that, to be able to continue the program that we've moved on recently, along with the CAP plan and our partnership with the arts, and move in a robust way and keep that in a positive way and make sure our staff and the superintendent is supported all the time.
Thank you. Ms. Perez.
Definitely teacher salary, and I know that I understand that our district is nowhere where we want it to be, and that we really have the 3% mandatory reserve by the state of California. But I'm sure that working together, we can find a way to look into possibly helping teachers and schools get more grants to help them. That way they no longer have to pay for supplies out of their own pocket, which is another way to protect teacher salary, while also improving the learning ability of students. And another thing would be to help improve and make better our special education department.
Thank you. Ms. Diaz.
Yes, I agree with the comments from the other people up here, the other candidates here. But I also will say that I would change, something that I would change would be to make sure that every teacher has what they need to teach and quality of education, that they don't need to go out and look for resources to improve the teaching in their classrooms. I also will change the communication with parents and the entire community with more parents institutes, or a way to bring parents to keep them well informed of their kids' education and also what's going on in our district.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz.
I would focus on teacher training to make sure that if we're bringing new programs in, that we have a training program for our teachers so that they can feel supported in implementing programs that are new to them. I would also work on closing the gap in collaboration for the district to make sure that administrators and the teachers union can work together, have transparency, and be the best district that we can be together. And I would also work on fund development. Thank you.
And Ms. Carroll.
Like everyone is saying, we get the Ken and Rena too, and I think I would go with teacher salaries and bringing them up to the medium where everybody in school districts are at this point. It's very important. Teachers are very important to our children in this district, and we need great teachers. And we do have great teachers here, but we need to keep bringing them in too. Another thing too is bridging Duarte DUSD over to CSRs. I think there's a lot we can learn from both our schools together and bridging it. We are starting to do that a lot. We're actually bringing in some of the kids at our CSRs are actually going over to the fields and performing like color guard. So there is a lot of starting to bridge over and just working together. I think we can both learn from both schools. The teachers from CSRs from Duarte High School or any schools can learn from each other. Another thing that I would also say too would be resources. There's a lot of teachers, I should say the physics teacher here, Mr. Traeger, he needs some resources.
Thank you. There are several questions here about the Cal Arts and trying to combine them. How should the board continue to support the Cal Arts? Or there's one question that says, do you support Cal Arts? So I guess if you do or if you don't, how do you think the collaboration and the agreement is working? And we'll start with Mr. Bell.
Cal Arts has been one of the best things that's happened to the Duarte Front School District. This partnership, and people keep talking about this charter, it's a partnership. And I think it's important we have to understand we have worked a program out. We've developed a system where they get the best from us, we get the best from them, but it's the partnership that we have. And again, it's the one thing that has allowed us to turn the corner. I mean, you look at Pasadena, Azusa, they're losing kids. They can't get them. We are getting kids. Just look out there, stand out on Highland, and in the evening, and you see kids coming in back and forth. There's a lot of people because we have given people what they want. And I think Cal Arts has been great for us.
Thank you. Ms. Perez.
As a parent, I am supportive of school of choice and innovative programs. From a teacher perspective, I'm always open to new and creative ideas, especially if they come with data supporting outcomes that demonstrate superior learning methods and knowledge retention. Especially if that could then be applied to all schools in the district, but of course there must always be accountability.
Thank you. Ms. Diaz.
Well, the question was very clear that I support CSR. Yes, I do. And I do believe the CSR is part of Duarte Unified School District. I know that there is some rules and it is a charter school and our regular school, but yes, I do support and endorse always the programs of charter school, our CSR. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz.
I do support CSRs. I would like to see how it can be sustainable. Last year we had 100 new students at the beginning of the year. This year we have 4. In addition, I'd like to see how we can expand the partnership so that Duarte students are going to benefit as well long term. As I was walking, putting up signs and talking to different people in the community, one of the things they mentioned to me is when they tried getting their students into CSRs that it's very difficult. And I believe that Duarte students should have that option and that we should make sure our agreements reflect that. But I am very much in support of it and figuring out how I can support it so that we all benefit and it's sustainable.
Ms. Carroll.
I definitely support CSRs. I think this gives our community and our parents the option to decide for ourselves which school fits our children. Right now, this purpose of CSRs really was for decline enrollment. And it is bringing parents from all over to our district. It's re-changing our image of our district. It's rebranding our image of the district. So yes, CSRs is incredibly important here. And yes, it might be a difficult school to get to, but also these are specialized abilities these kids have to go in there with ahead of time knowing the performing arts. It's just not any child could be in there. They do have to audition. There's an audition process. But for those gifted kids in our city and all over, it's a perfect school for them.
And Ms. Murray.
Actually, I consider myself a well-rounded educator. I worked in general public education as well as being a principal of the K-12 charter school and Mountain Charter School. I was a specialist in the charter school as well. I support both of our charter schools. When you're going to educate our Duarte kids, yes, I support you. Why wouldn't I? But when I was thinking and people were asking, and then I said, well, are they independent or dependent? And then I was looking at the budget, and I was looking at invoices, and I said, we're spending a lot of money here, a lot of money, in a lot of different areas. So, especially parents, okay? Parents are spending money for their children to go to the charter school. They're not spending money for their children to go to the other charter school. So, you know, I'm kind of questioning, I'm looking and questioning, like, what's going on? I support everybody who's in Duarte trying to get an education. But we need to make it right. That's it.
Thank you. Next question says, do you support the new K through 8 model, and would you fight to continue it in our district? And we'll start with Ms. Perez.
I am in support of that model. I currently work at a district where all the elementaries are K through 8, and I think they've done a really good job at implementing structures to accommodate all the students. Therefore, I support Duarte District moving that path.
Thank you. Ms. Diaz.
Yes, I do believe that it was a really excellent move. We were losing a lot of kids in our Northview school because they were spreading not just rumors, but it was just happening to a lot of bullying. And doing the KA has improved a lot the kids' behavior, so I do support KA. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz?
Hi, yes, I support the K-8 structure. I actually did research when they were talking about doing it, and it showed that it is a great way for kids to build self-confidence before they go to high school. So to be able to grow into that school and kind of be the top dog and then go off to high school, it gives them some self-confidence and helps them build their self-esteem. So I am a supporter. I have a daughter who's in 1st grade, and I'm glad that she'll be able to stay at the same school through 8th grade. Thank you.
Ms. Carroll?
I love the new K and 8th model. I really do. A couple things, because I think kids do behave better. I did research on that too. They also tend to, and also parents too. You're with the parents a little longer in the school districts. Most of the time during the middle school, you kind of kick your kid out and they go into the classroom. But here you have a chance to actually still be friends with and still kind of still know each other a little longer. And I think for that reason, also they also work with the children and they're around the younger kids. So that's also a plus. They can kind of work with the children in the school there. But definitely I think the model K works. I think it's the best thing ever. Thank you.
Ms. Murray?
I used to do a lot with statistics, and I'm a statistical research person. So when you say K-8 models, I'm like, great, because there's a lot of positive things. The private schools are doing it, it's a nurturing process, the students are bonding, the students in middle school have problems in middle school years, and the students need to be more familiar with their surroundings before they actually go to high school. But however, we have the K-8 models, but what's happening in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grades? So we need to look at that and find out, do the numbers actually sustain the complete K-8 models? So, like I said, I'm a researcher, and I'm a statistician of sorts in education, so we just need to look at what are the numbers, what's going on, can we really afford to sustain it fiscally? Thank you.
And Mr. Bell?
K-8 models, I think, an excellent move by our school district. It was difficult in one sense because Northview was the newest facility that we had in our campuses, but we had too many of our parents and children jumping off right at the 7th, when it got to the 7th, 8th grade. And again, I think maturity and the studies have shown that staying at that school for 8 years was just better, and go straight to the high school, and we didn't have that gap where people would jump off because they were going to a new experience from an elementary school straight to the high school. So I think for us it was an excellent move, and I think history will show that for us in this community is excellent.
Thank you. Someone is interested in bringing computer programming to the high school students. Is there something the board can do to make that happen? And we'll start with Ms. Diaz.
There is a computer program right now going on in our school district, in our high school. So every time that the school begins, there is new technology, and I believe that we are very competitive in technology programs at our high school.
Thank you. Let's see, Ms. Schultz.
I think it's an awesome idea. I think especially in this day of technology that having that skill is priceless in any industry. And so I think it's wonderful. I also think it's wonderful that Valley View has committed to doing that as well. And so when it first had its name changed and they were talking about the commitment they're doing there, I was very excited. So I'm excited to see that grow, and I would support it however I could.
Excuse me, Ms. Carroll.
Yes, there's actually a very there's actually a program right now at the high school. I actually got to see it during one of the open days at the high school last year. And there's a fabulous teacher there teaching one of the newest technologies and programs there. And actually have a friend who has a degree, she's a professor at Mount SAC, and she was very, she was really amazed of what they were teaching in her classroom. So there is a great technology class here at the high school right now. Also, going back to Valley View, also I've heard some fabulous things about that one too, because they're teaching kids early on. They're already starting to do homework on the computer, just like the middle schools are doing in the high school. So they're really moving with the technology at Valley View. And it's a great start for these kids, and they're going to be right there along, when they get to the 7th and 8th grade, they're going to be ready for that.
Thank you. Ms. Murray.
If I could just say this, if, whoever said it, just come see me. I mean, I'd like to know more about what they're talking about, computer programs. There's different aspects of this. Like, for example, what's going on in Valley View is coding. And I took classes as a teacher in order to teach kids how to code in classes. So what we need to do is look at costs, look at, what kind of computer programs are you talking about? Of course, this would be, if you're thinking something new, this would be a new avenue for it. So, I'm open to it. Please come talk to me. Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Bell.
Again, I'm very, very proud. Mr. Ramos and his whole technical staff has been excellent for our school district and have allowed our young people to have that one-on-one experience in technology. And I mean, parents can access the attendance, they can access grades, and young people can do their homework. My granddaughter brings her computer home, or when we babysit her, she's doing it. And also we looked at having hotspots in different places where young people that may not have Wi-Fi in their home. We provide that.
Thank you, and Ms. Perez.
My son attends Royal Oaks, and I know that there they do ST Math, and he absolutely loves it. I think it's a great way to start them early, getting them used to these programs that help them with spatial skills and solve puzzles. Therefore, I would support all these great ideas in technology.
Thank you. I have a whole handful of questions here about budgets and raising money and things like that. So if each of you could talk a little bit about fund development and what are the best ways for a school district to do that, to bring in more money. And we'll start with Ms. Schultz.
So I think grants are a huge source of income for fund development. If you look at City of Hope, they do predominantly all of their research with grants, about, I want to say $80 million, you probably know. But yes, so I would say the number one thing I would start with would be grant writing, and someone dedicated to grant writing who can collect the data, who can write the proposals, who can make sure we're budgeting out and allocating resources appropriately and making sure we're in compliance. Grant writing is the number one place that I would start for fund development. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carroll?
I would agree with Jody on that question because that is definitely where you would start, would be grant writing. And I'm not going to elaborate as much as she pretty much said what I was going to say anyways, but that would be about where I would begin to, would be grant writing.
Ms. Murray?
I agree with grant writing, but usually grants have something attached to it. There's like a systemic plan attached to it, and it usually has to do with a certain topic. Yes, it's a viable source for a specific topic, a specific area, a specific subject, but there's other grassroots ways. When I was assistant principal, I wanted a marquee because we didn't have a marquee. So what did? We had bake sales. We had enough bake sales, so we got a marquee. Also too, when I was an assistant principal again at another school, what we did is we used what do you call it? Coke machines. Okay, not necessarily Coke machines, but vending machines. And we had vending machines, and the amount of money that the vending machines brought in helped us tremendously. So there's a lot of silent auctions. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different ways. All you have to do is put your mind together, head together, come up with an idea, and look at where you want the money to go. So I've done a lot of that. So with fundraising, yes, I'm good at it. Yes, thank you.
Mr. Bell?
Probably the two things that are most important. Number one, you better have a good financial person running your school district and keeping the figures accurate and getting information regularly. But probably the thing you have to remember, ADA, having our young people come to school and making sure, we just had a report at the last board meeting, very important to make sure that young people come to school, because that's where your funding comes from. The kids that come to school, when they're not there, it's a waste in our education system. So I think the two things, a good financial person and making sure our young people come to school.
Ms. Perez?
I agree with what Mr. Bell said and Jody. I think that grant writing is important. Teachers can do it and principals can do it, and there's just a lot of money out there. And also spending efficiently, making sure that programs that we're buying, adopting, are getting rolled out appropriately, meaning that we're measuring how effective they are, and if we want to continue spending money on those programs.
Thank you. And Ms. Diaz?
I agree that we need to fundraise. I agree that we need to help our teachers, and 100% agree with Mr. Bell's comment. But I will say that in this community, we have tremendous help from many of the organizations. And being part of Ed Foundation for many years, I have seen lots of money going through our schools, in all the schools, not just one school, including students' scholarships. And we have a really excellent grant writer, and we just, a few years ago, we received over $100,000 in music instruments for our high school. And so we do use many, many ways to bring money to our students, to our teachers. And I always will try to find ways to bring more money. Thank you.
Thank you. Kind of in line with this, somebody mentioned about transportation, bus transportation for students. And if you think this is a good idea, would it be available to all students, K through 12? And how would that get paid for? And we'll start with Ms. Carroll.
And how would it be paid for? Well, right now I know that I think there's only one bus. I think they're still bringing them from the Monrovia Island. I'm not even sure yet, right at Valley View. But there is a lot of bus transportation going on when it comes to the CSRs and Royal Oaks right now, and all the kids from the CSRs. I know that's getting done, but how we're going to pay for that? I'm not sure how, that's a question I'm not even sure how that would even, I wouldn't even know how to tackle that one actually. That's a really good question. So I'm going to give that up because I don't even know how to answer that one actually, where the money would come from. But I know that we did stop the busing. I think this last year, I think there was a lot more busing from certain cities and certain districts. But I think there's still one in Valley View that I know of that's bringing the kids from certain parts of Monrovia, the Monrovia Island, which is the south part of Duarte. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Murray, I think this was one of your things that you would like, so maybe you can expand on how you think it would get paid for and would it cover everyone?
We need to find out what's out there. Okay, first of all, we need to strictly look at our budget and find out what funding sources are in there, where's extra money, where we could transfer money to get funding in order to get those kids to school. Because I think K through 12, if you could reach those high school students that are walking from long, long distances, I think that would be a benefit, not only to the parents, but to the community as a whole. We get, I want to say more in-seated, well, that we would have more longevity with the students staying with us, and we would be able to make a more cohesive community. So that's it, thank you.
Mr. Bell?
You know, I don't think transportation is a major problem for this small Duarte community. We used to have buses when I first was a board member. I think we had a fleet of about 6 different buses. I think we only have one standby bus that's in a yard somewhere over on the other side of town. So we eliminated the busing because you have to pay for the bus, you have to pay for the driver, you have to pay for the maintenance. And people get to school and they drive. You can see the parents look at the traffic. They will come and bring their children to school. Got that goal line now. That goal line will bring young people from different parts. Matter of fact, like you in the evening, look like Grand Central Station people coming here to come to Duarte. I just don't think busing would be the most sustainable thing for me and my finances at this time.
Ms. Perez?
Currently, I'm not well informed on this topic, but I'm willing to do more research on this. I know that we have good public transportation, we have the Gold Line, and we also have a bus system that is available for the public. Thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Diaz?
As Mr. Bell mentioned, many years ago we got rid of the buses, and it was about budget, it was about decision. What do we need? What do we have to do in order for us to bring all our students from different areas? And we decided that the students with the 1 mile distance will be transferring, but transport to the schools. But I will tell you that high school students don't like to ride buses. They don't. And probably elementary schools, yes. Many, many kids and many parents will benefit for that. But high school students, I don't believe it. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz?
I think that busing would raise our ADA, and I would contact the business development departments at Uber and Lyft, and I would see what opportunities they could provide us to contract with them to reduce the cost. We wouldn't have to pay for driver, bus, or maintenance that way, and we'd have an opportunity to develop a program with them that I'm sure that they'd be up for. They deliver McDonald's. I'm sure they'd love to deliver our kids.
Okay, we have a couple of questions here about AP programs. What do you think? Do there need to be more AP programs? And what could the board do to help increase the pass rate for the AP tests? And we'll start with Ms. Murray.
I think the AP programs are great for the school district. I think the AP programs offer something different so that the students can strive for this. With the pass rate, I think the problem with the AP programs is we don't have enough students in the AP programs. So in order to do this, we need to look at what's actually going on over there in the high school. We need to sit and talk with counselors, we need to talk with teachers and find out what students could actually move a little faster in order what programs we can put in place in order to have the students move a little faster and to pass in order to get in AP programs.
And Mr. Bell?
We have excellent AP programs. The unique part about it is for some reason, we need to find out why our young men are not achieving like our young ladies. With the women are just outdistancing our young men big time in our school district at the high school. Our AP program is good, it's strong and sustainable, but we got to find ways how we can motivate our young men to be more involved to make that program more sustainable.
Ms. Perez?
I believe our AP programs are great. I think to improve them, we would need to offer more workshops that involved parents, get them on board to support more our students, and that way collaborating with parents, teachers, and the students, we can help them succeed better when taking those tests.
And Ms. Diaz?
AP classes has been really a long time journey in our high school. And I remember a key person in our school district trying to bring kids to go to the AP classes in many ways. I believe that we are having problem to reach many of our students, but we need to keep helping our schools to success in AP classes, our students to success in AP classes.
And Ms. Schultz?
I think AP classes are essential in this day and age when college is so expensive, to prevent them from having to pay for a longer journey in college. So I think that counselors would be a beneficial asset, even if we're training people who are already within the district with a new skill that they could use in terms of splitting time or doing flex things. But I think that the counseling is essential, because the number one thing that happens that I've seen, and even for myself, is that if you don't know about something, you don't do it. And so you don't have an opportunity to do it. So even starting in 8th grade with counselors, guiding kids to go into college, putting together, or high school, and put together a high school plan for them, and then that follow-up on an annual basis, I think is essential for it to be successful. Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Carroll?
Not all AP, I think APs are very important. My daughter is taking a lot of them this year. She has 3 actually. But not every child fits in the AP courses. There's other routes for them. But what I've noticed here at the high school, there's not a lot of kids that are passing them as much as they should. There's some really smart kids in this district, I know in the groups that my daughter hangs out with. And a lot of them are passing it because they get really behind on the information before they take the test. Or they kind of try to push it at the very end and can't do that at the very last minute. So I know other districts are passing them in a lot higher rates than ours are. So we got to start earlier, maybe in the summertime, starting to learn the material and then move it along so they don't get behind. And that's the main problem here at the high school, I think, is they get too behind, and by the time they get to that point, they're cramming it into the child, and they can't take all that information in, especially if they have 2 or 3 APs at a time. So thank you.
Okay, and here's a question about another path. It says, in light of the projected shortage of qualified tradesmen and women, does the district plan to offer programs to prepare students that have those interests? And we'll start with Mr. Bell.
It's kind of interesting you mentioned that. I just talked to Mr. Morris, one of the MIT principal, and he just brought back an exciting program that's going to look like it's going to really make a big difference in the printing department. And they went and found some information at one of our school districts, and we may be doing some major printing and copying here in our school district just for that specific reason, to attract some of our young men who might have interest in moving there. I think we have a strong area where not everything has to be where universities and college, because we still need the trades. And so again, we have the type of information and training coming back from Mr. Morris for some of the things. Even talking about, we have industry that's talking about filmmaking. Mr. Polo, he has a program that's going to talk about filmmaking, editing. So yeah, there's a lot of different things we can do that's not always just A&G subject matters.
Ms. Perez?
I think we have a school already that caters to those needs. MIT has a cutting-edge career pathway. For example, their welding program. I've heard great things about their welding program, and I think they're already offering something for those students who are not wanting to follow that college pathway. Thank you.
Ms. Diaz?
Yes, the welding program through Mount SAC and also the automotive classes at Citrus College in conjunction with our school district has given a great path for many of the students that they are looking into that way to education.
Ms. Schultz?
So part of the development that I was speaking about earlier is developing some of the programs that we do already have in the high school, the culinary program, wood shop, and the welding program. We also have opportunities in the community. There are apprenticeships out in the community as well for journeymen, for laborers. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity, and I think we have a start at that. MIT, as everyone said, you know, the film, they just went to a Sony festival and introduced the students there. They're going to something on the 11th, I think, and I think it's awesome. We have an awesome start, and I think these are programs that we need to develop further. Thank you.
Ms. Carroll?
I do agree. We need to actually I think we should bring more. Right now we do have some wonderful programs like they've all said, like the welding, and we also have the culinary with the hospitality. I think that's through San Antonio College where you get a certificate also, which is going to happen. And also, you know, we have our connections with City of Hope too, where they train the kids for biotech, and they can go out, and that's kind of something they can leave out of the high school and just kind of work right away in a facility. So they get training, and it's something that they can do that while they go to college actually, you know. So I think we should. I think trades are very important for the kids that, you know, maybe aren't on the college path, and they can learn a trade. So I think bringing auto mechanics would be kind of cool. I hope that it maybe one day happens. I think we need that too. But just like everyone said, they mentioned the welding and even the film at Mount SAC and so many. But the wood shop also is a great wood shop here too.
Thank you. Ms. Murray?
I think that Duarte is doing an excellent job bringing in the trades for the students here, with the creators, looking at the welding, and also the culinary. I think that they're doing a fantastic job. I know that Mr. Morris has been involved with the consortium where he's talking to other different school districts, and they meet and talk about other programs, like for example, students to leave with LV certificates. Now, if I could just add this, when I did teach with LACO, within students who were incarcerated, we did have something that the students were interested in, which was sewing and fashion. They did culinary and they did agriculture. So if we could look at some, you know, other pathways as well to introduce it to our curriculum, I think that would be good.
Thank you. Someone is interested, they're concerned, I guess actually sports and band in Duarte seem to have less support and funds for equipment. How can the board help? We'll start with Ms. Perez.
I think that building partnerships with the community can help sports. And I know that last year, and I think this year too, there's like a committee working on how to make improvements in that area. And my son, from a personal perspective, my son plays sports. And therefore, that can be a way to attract more students to come to the high school if we have good, solid programs that we can offer them.
Ms. Diaz.
Yes, as I mentioned before, a couple of years ago, we did we got a grant for over $100,000 for instruments, but I know there is a need that we support them always. I believe that one of the weakness programs that we have, and we lose a lot of students, is because the sports programs. I know perhaps that one of the greatest supporters in the sports is Mr. Bell. I know that we need to get together with different groups among the community to make sure that we support 100% monetarily the two groups, sports and the band.
Ms. Schultz?
I think that this is a perfect opportunity for grant writing and capitalizing on our boosters, and then having grassroots fundraisers where the teams are going out and having car washes and getting out in the community with the businesses in the community and doing different fundraisers like that, and getting them involved in the community and and teaching them about different aspects of the people around them and how they can earn and how they can just help with the fundraising. So that's where I would go with that. Thanks.
Ms. Carroll?
Yes, well, we have a great foundation here in Duarte, the Duarte Education Foundation, that has funded in the past for instruments also. And we can look into fundraisers and through services like the Duarte Foundation to help, raise the money and provide on some of these issues, especially for band. But I have to say with band, I think we need to start it at a 4th grade level. Just my experience with music, you need to start a little earlier. I don't think the kids, they're not exposed as early as they should be. And right now, and we didn't start the band until maybe about 4 years ago. I think it's sort of a new thing that happened. So right now we're still getting on that path to getting grounded where they're ready by the time they're in the middle school to the high school to get into the band, when they're ready to play as solid as they should. But I also agree with Raina about the fact of sports. I think we lose a lot of kids every year with sports, though we have some wonderful kids that are in volleyball here and other sports here. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Murray?
I think at the high school level, with sports and getting more funds, we need to look at some partnerships, okay? Other partnerships that we can build and cultivate. We don't necessarily have to stay in the Duarte area. We can reach outside of the Duarte area. Also, grassroots fundraising would be good. When my daughter was at Duarte High, she was a cheerleader. I remember how many times I had to take her to car wash, where they did car washes. And then also we were in the summers helping at one of the booths. Also too, although it wasn't a fundraiser at that time, they did something with the Rose Bowl parade. So, but the thing is, what they need to do is we need to look at fundraisers, how many fundraisers, what kind of fundraisers we can have, especially with sports and also with the band. I know the band, I was with school districts where bands travel. I was at one school district at the school in Hawaii.
Thank you. And Mr. Bell?
Maybe the question was because somebody's had an interest and they've seen something wrong, but I think we have a fabulous band. I think that the kids do a great job. I mean, I'm so proud when the halftime comes to see that group, and a lot of times the young people are the directors. The directors let the young people handle it, but since it's a problem, I will absolutely be looking into the budget of the band when I talk to the superintendent in the morning. I thought we had a great situation going, and I think the band has been one of the highlights at our sporting events. So I would support whatever they need, but I'll find out if there's a problem. But I think we have a great band. So I tell you, some years back we had a problem, but it's been great. So I'll check on it tomorrow. I didn't know there was a problem.
Thank you. I have a whole handful of questions similar about, it says we need school board members who are invested in our community, and I think most of these questions involve wanting each of you to give an example of something you've given back in the community that's not related to the school board. So some activity or event or whatever. So we'll start with Ms. Diaz.
For the last 20 years of my life, I've been delivering Meals on Wheels to residents in Duarte. It is one of the other joys of my life. I also serve on the Foothill Unity Center Board of Directors for the last 10 years. And I also go around my community and ask the neighbors, what do we need to improve? I live in the county area, and there is a need for someone to speak their language. And since I am bilingual, I do help them to reach to the person that they need to speak at the government level to hear their voices. So I am very happy to be able also to take a lot of help to different countries, because the community here gets together to give back to other people who need it. Not forgetting that we need to give more to our community. So I'm very happy to be able to serve in different ways in this community.
Ms. Schultz.
I reward the school that my daughter goes to. I buy them lunch often. That's something that's important to me to show my appreciation. And then my husband and I volunteer for an organization called Food Forward. So Food Forward is an organization that takes unwanted produce and fruits off of backyard trees and donates it to organizations that feed the hungry, such as Foothill Unity. So that's how we give back to the community.
Ms. Carroll.
I started really early off in my early 20s, actually in the Shakespeare League of Pasadena, and that was a nonprofit organization which I used to take backpacks to the children of the ward in Pasadena, and we did a lot of fabulous things, but that was back then. So to come back now, I'm in, actually I joined the Duarte Rotary, which is it's a perfect mix of what I used to do with Shakespeare League and helping out with the community, and I'm looking forward to making pancakes and things like that for the Christmas books and Santa. But also the Duarte Education Foundation, where we help a lot with fundraising for certain fundraisers throughout the district, for the schools. So I really always felt that it was very important to help our community out and the children, especially the children. I've always had a very soft spot for the children and doing whatever I can and putting my efforts to that. Thank you.
Ms. Murray.
It was not last year, it was, I think 2 years ago, when I was on the Duarte Chamber. I actually had a booth at the Taste of Duarte for my business. And then I actually did give a couple coupons for some free things or free services. So I did give back then. I visited, and I wish I could have helped more with the Duarte Business Women's Expo. So coming around next time, I wish I could help more and also possibly talk at the Duarte Business Women's Expo. A couple years back, I actually, like I said, I'm Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. They were looking to give scholarships, so I went directly into the high school and I said, we have scholarships to give. Do you have any students that would be needy of scholarships? So we did. We actually, they had, I think about 5 students in mind, and they ended up giving us a student scholarship. When my daughter was here at Duarte High, I was on the PTSA. I was on other different committees. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bell.
Long-time law enforcement background. To me, giving back is just what I do. And my involvement has been, as a father, I had 5 of my kids went here and went to the school district here, and anything that happens in the community, I'm going to be involved in. I've had 4 different groups that I've worked with. I've mentored young men when we had Northview. We had some problems with the 7th and 8th graders, and it was racial, and so we got involved with them. And I had another group that we had where we had even the district attorney herself, she came out and we had a summit, and we had a training session out at it's a little cabin out in Monrovia, and I worked with the young people there. When we had some of the major gang violence, I brought two groups together at the high school, and I'm not going to say everything that we talked about, but one of the things that's important is that they agreed to make the high schools neutral grounds. They would not go at each other on neutral grounds. So give it back to me. Just,
Thank you.
okay. I'm about to give a class, watch it.
And Ms. Perez.
I helped PTA at Royal Oaks for 2 years, set up fundraising events. I would contact local businesses and set up flyers to pass out. Currently, I'm coaching Girls on the Run, which is a transformational physical activity based on positive youth development program for girls in 3rd grade to 8th grade. And we teach life skills through interactive lessons and through interactive lessons and running games. And the goal is to unleash confidence through teaching the girls to accept themselves and be more confident.
Thank you. I think we have reached the end of our question period. And so now we will have the closing statements. And like I said at the beginning, we'll do those in reverse order. So Ms. Murray, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to make sure the voters are electing someone who can best allocate resources to help improve achievement gap here at Duarte schools, along with a wealth of knowledge and services to our community. I've personally visited every school within the district during special events, learning walks, and walkthroughs. I've spoken to teachers, staff, and students. I've assessed what's needed the most, and I want to work with the district and the board to find solutions, especially when it comes to declining enrollment at DHS, where enrollment went from over 1,000 to 840 students. My background can help the school district. Duarte provides a public and charter school education. I have experience in both areas. We're fortunate to have a district that attracts students from other cities. I can help because I have worked with students from impoverished areas, students from affluent areas, and I have worked with homeless students, foster youth, at-risk students, and incarcerated students. Duarte needs a 21st century board for 21st century students. As a practicing educator, I know the demands and needs that must be met in order to see that our students succeed and that the teachers have the resources necessary to produce 21st century students and the resources to assist students with other educational needs, including bilingual, gay, special education. My fellow community members, I hear you and I'll help. I'm a worker and I'll fight for our students and our community and our schools. There's more information about me online and my background. Please vote for me. I will run for school board November 6th. Thank you.
Ms. Carroll, your closing statement.
Yes. Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate your willingness to be informed about the most qualified candidates. We are at a crossroads in our community right now. Which way will we go? Everybody says they support California School of the Arts, but have they voted to support it? Please ask yourself these questions before you vote. Do you want a person who's invested in the community and has done much to make our community a better place? If so, vote C.C. Carroll. Do you want to retain the best teachers that we have and pay them to commensurate their outstanding work? Then vote for C.C. Carroll. Do you want someone who has the business experience and knowledge to help run our school district? Then vote for C.C. Carroll. If you want to have a school district that is the pride of the San Gabriel Valley and will continue to be the place where you and I will be happy to send our children, then the choice for the most qualified candidate for the 2-year seat is clear. Please vote for C.C. Carroll, your investment in the future. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz.
Hi, thank you. One thing I wanted to mention, because there's been some confusion, is that it is important to note that there are 2 races in which we'll vote for school members. There's a 4-year race that has 2 seats available, so you would vote for 2 of us on this side, and then there's a 2-year race in which 1 seat is available, so you would vote for either Ms. Carroll or Dr. Murray. People have been confused about that, and so I wanted to bring that in light. I'm honored to have had the opportunity to get to know everyone better and look forward to serving with whomever is elected in November, should I have the privilege to be voted in as one of the 4-year positions. Advocacy, collaboration, fund development, program development, and project analytical planning are what I hope to accomplish should I get elected. These are the same things on which I focus daily as part of the executive team for a small community hospital that serves an underserved and underfunded population, so that I know it is possible. I have a daughter who will be in the Duarte School District for the next 12 years, so I'm vested in the success of the district. I hope to do you proud if you elect me. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for being here, and best wishes to all the candidates.
Thank you. Ms. Diaz.
In closing, I wish to leave you with some key phrases from my opening statement. And from some of the my answers, this is why I am seeking re-election. Long history of dedication to DUSD and community involvement, tremendous growth in Duarte schools, KA academies, all schools by 2020. Choices for parents at the elementary and secondary levels, transformation district, destination district for children from 80+ cities. Uphold and continue our positive growth. Protect all that is good in DUSD. And lastly, I am a VIP board member. B for vision, I for integrity, and P, I have a purpose to do all that I can for the betterment of our children in Duarte Unified School District. I don't want to miss the opportunity also to say some words for some other part of the community. Todos sabemos que todos los estudiantes merecen una educación excelente. Una manera de lograrlo es buscar diferentes maneras para hacerlo. Y por esa razón es que yo lo he hecho durante 21 años de servicio en esta mesa directiva. Por eso hoy les pido que por favor me ayuden a ser reelegida el próximo 6 de noviembre. Please thank you and remember to vote for Reina Diaz on November 6th. I also want to add that I don't want to miss the opportunity to mention that Reina Diaz has been able to accomplish so many things. Thank you to, with the help of Kiwanis, Ed Foundation, and so many, many other organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Perez.
As we all know, the Board of Education plays an important role in determining the strategies that will improve the education of all of our children. I recognize we are fortunate to live in a community where education is paramount. But each year we face tough decisions on how to allocate our resources. We face decisions like which programs will be funded or cut. Do we propose new initiatives or not? And should we fund bricks and mortar or books? If elected as a member of Duarte School Board of Education, I will ask in-depth questions about policy and programs so that we, as a community, understand the value they will bring to the classroom. I will encourage the proposal of the new initiatives to improve the education of our children. I will listen to and reflect the concerns of our community and work collaboratively with fellow board members to improve our schools. Although budget gets tougher each year, I believe together we can find creative solutions to address those challenges while maintaining the higher quality of education we have come to expect. With the new superintendent, I am hopeful that with fresh eyes and new perspectives, the next few years will produce some cost-effective innovations and new initiatives. In our community, we value a top-notch education, and we are able to provide that education. However, I am committed to continued improvements and to taking our educational system to a higher level. It would be an honor to serve on the board. I ask you for your vote on November 6th. Thank you for the time you have given me this evening, and thank you to my campaign manager for being here for me and supporting me. Thank you.
And Mr. Bell.
Duarte Unified School District is at a critical period right now. I've been a champion of the major advances our school district has achieved. I have used my 36-year law enforcement career training to reduce gang violence. This is my 6th year serving in the Community Public Safety Commission and a community mentor of safety all the way around. By leveraging this experience, I've made DUSD schools safer and more secure. And with your vote on November the 6th, in 2018, or sooner, because I think they're going to be a little sooner now, I will build on our current success and improving areas that need to be strengthened. The vote in this election hopefully will be based on what I've already delivered, not so much what other people are promising you they're going to do. And I can't wait to see what DUSD will be if you re-elect me. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to thank you, the candidates, and everyone in the audience, and I want to thank the high school students. I don't know if they're still here, but bummer. Okay. But I want to thank them for being runners. That was a good service. Anyway, so thank you all for being willing to stay here and listen to the candidates. As we said earlier, the League's voter service goal is to promote informed and involved electorate. So we hope that we have succeeded in helping you to be better informed about your choices in this election, but now we have to turn things over to you for the involved part. So please participate in our democracy by casting your vote by mail or in person on November 6th, and urge your friends and family to do the same. Remember, the world is run by people who show up. So thank you again. Good night.